Hi guys, welcome to this week's episode of the Independent Brokerage with Roundtable Realty. I am Howard Flashen, the broker and owner of Roundtable Realty.
And I'm Erin Salem, the Director of Marketing Director for Roundtable Realty. That's two directors.
And we have a special guest today.
Yay!
Yay! All right. To talk about something that is appropriate for the times, I think. We have Brandon Bascelli here, an owner of Brightway Insurance.
Yep.
Hi, Brandon.
Hello. How are you?
Welcome.
Thank you very
Welcome to our
much.
show.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you.
Super excited.
And you don't know the topic, so I'm going
I
to
do not.
surprise you with something that's appropriate for the times, I think, which is a lot of people don't understand or know what they're signing up for in regards to the small details. For example, hurricane deductibles. So they have homeowners insurance. So am I not covered? Tell me how it works.
Correct. So you're right. So an insurance policy is basically insuring, the biggest thing you're going to buy, right? And so not understanding it is going to be a big pitfall and downfall when it comes to insurance. So that's why it's important for an agent to go over and explain to them the rules. And a lot of times people don't understand, wait, well, I have a deductible on this? And not only that, you have two separate deductibles. And so when, in Northeast Florida, where it hasn't been that big of a deal for your hurricane deductible, you just found out you have two.
Brand new information.
People said, hey, the hurricanes come through, and then they say, oh, wait a minute, you don't have $1,000 deductible. You have a 2% deductible, which could be upwards of $10,000. And so people go, oh, wait a minute. So it's really important to know that. And that's really the
And you deal probably with a lot of frustrated consumers at that time?
Absolutely, because if you're talking about a fence that went down, and it might be a $7,000 fence, but it's below your $8,000 hurricane deductible, they go, wait a minute, I thought I was covered, and now I got to pay out of pocket for this. So it was a real surprise because you got to think about it. 2 years prior to these, in the 30 years, there hasn't been a hurricane really hit Northeast Florida.
No.
So it's never really taken into account. And then they go, oh, wait a minute, I got to shell out more money in my pocket. So it's really to understand your deductibles of what you have. And there's also carriers might slip in and they might change your deductible from $1,000 to a 1%
Is that
deductible.
legal?
It did happen with one carrier particular several years ago. And you get a little letter saying, hey, your deductible changed from 1,000 to 1%. And a lot of customers did not know that.
But because they sent a letter, they got away with it.
Correct.
I'll bet that made you really happy with those phone
Well,
calls.
luckily, that is not one of our carriers that we represent.
Of course not.
It's a larger,
Good on you, Brightway Insurance.
larger carrier out there that did that several years ago. But that's something that we focus on. And so a lot of carriers now, because 2% really was standard in the state of Florida. Mm-hmm. And now carriers have said, all right, listen, we'll make it $1,000 deductible. But, of course, your premium is going to go up. But depending on the carrier, I've seen it as little as $80 a year, changing it from a 2% deductible, which could have been $8,000, to now it's a $1,000 deductible and literally less than $100 a year. So not looking at something like that, it can be
They just need to call you. People have to call you and ask these questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll put your information on here and people will reach out.
And not only that, even if they don't have me, we can do an insurance review. And so somebody can send me their declarations page and say, hey, what do I have? If you took out your insurance policy, let's say 10, 15 years ago when the market was at its height, you could be overinsured on your home. Because really your home insurance is based on replacement costs. And when these costs were out of the roof several years ago, so that we look at, hey, could you be overinsured? Could you be underinsured?
Okay.
Things like liability coverage. Somebody might have $100,000 of liability. To make it $500 literally can cost you $50 a year. So a $400,000 liability difference, the premium is super small. So just things like that and having conversations with your agent or letting me do a free review for you is something that's invaluable.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, that sounds good. Also, people always with hurricanes, like we're seeing in the Carolinas, the flooding that comes on. I know that...
Just last year, half of
Here?
Jacksonville flooded, and everybody was shocked. I was shocked.
Well, especially like San Marco and those areas.
Yeah,
they just go
Riverside.
underwater like that.
That's right.
Somebody sneezes and the coast is underwater.
Yeah.
So flood insurance, though, especially for areas that are not designated in a flood zone, it's optional and it's super cheap, right?
Absolutely. So I always like to start out with this. All of Florida is in a flood zone. So plain and simple. You're in Florida, you're a low level, everybody's in a flood. Now, some could be in a preferred zone, which means, your lender won't require it, but you also get the best rates when it comes to a FEMA flood. So literally the max dollar amount, I can tell you, because with a FEMA policy, all the rates are set. You can't really shop flood insurance. It's $450 a year for
Wow, that's it.
for $250,000 of coverage on your home and $100,000 of contents coverage. So
Whoa,
you
that's like 3 pairs of shoes.
What kind of shoes are you buying?
Real expensive
Those are
ones.
nice. But I mean, so you can either forego 3 pairs of shoes, or you can cover your home for a year for a flood.
Yeah.
And if you're watching the news, this is the sort of stuff that just crushes people because
Yeah.
they have the coverage, but they weren't in a FEMA flood zone, so they didn't get that insurance.
Exactly.
And then, they're calling you going, am I covered? And you're like, well, you're having to then explain to them after the fact.
Hurricanes make me the best flood insurance salesman out there, right? Because people
Right.
don't think about flood until a hurricane comes. And also, too, another trend in the industry is that, 5-6 years ago, the only way you could get a flood policy was through FEMA. Now, the state of Florida is allowing certain private carriers to offer private flood.
Oh.
The interesting thing about that is you can get the same coverages, almost sometimes even better, for either the same amount. It could be a little bit more, but it also could be a little bit less. Also, they're allowing a few carriers out there to actually add a flood endorsement to your home policy. So now, if a flood and a hurricane comes to your home, you have one deductible. You've got and you've got one carrier to deal with. You're not having to go to FEMA. Another thing that I hear quite a bit is, I don't need flood insurance because if it's declared a natural disaster, FEMA is going to come in and take care of us anyway. But
Does that happen?
Absolutely, they will. They'll come in and they'll rebuild your home, but it's a loan. They loan you the money, and you have to pay the money back.
There's the rub.
There is the rub.
So having a $450 policy a year that can cover you, or
Yeah.
you're right, FEMA's going to come in and help you, but you got to go, you have to apply. It's going to
Yeah.
take a while, and then guess what? You got to pay them back.
And something else I learned from Brandon last year, or maybe it was the year before, is when you do say, oh, it's hurricane season and there's a hurricane coming and I need to get flood insurance, and you call Brandon, which I did, and said, okay, we need flood insurance. And he immediately was on the ball, gave me all the information I needed. And then I realized it takes 30 days to bind that insurance. So if you're trying to get ahead of a storm that's due in a week and a half, you're too late, my friends.
Absolutely. So FEMA has a mandatory 30-day wait if
Yeah.
you're in a what they call preferred zone. The other neat thing is that these private flood carriers actually they can move it up. So you can actually get a flood policy 3 days prior if needed.
Right.
But like I said, I
You're
wouldn't
gonna pay
wait
for that.
Of course, you're going to pay a little bit extra for that. So get it now. Don't worry about it. Sleep better at night knowing, hey, it
Absolutely.
doesn't matter what happens.
So for anyone out there that heard a lot of just wah, 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 the thing you should remember is to call Brandon
Absolutely.
and ask him these questions. He can do a review for you for free and really get you set up for success, I think.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
I really want to talk about something else, though.
I can't wait.
Okay. I really want to. I don't know if you saw the news. Do you guys watch the news?
I do.
Not
Okay,
typically.
so something really big just came across the news. It was breaking news yesterday, which is that Dunkin Donuts is dropping the donuts from their name.
I'm sorry, what?
Yep, it's no longer going to be Dunkin Donuts.
It's going to be Dunkin'?
Dunkin.
I don't know if I feel good about this or not, but I did see that. Because
Okay.
anything Dunkin' Donuts related, I read.
And because you're here, I thought this would be a good time to talk to an expert on the donut debate, which is Krispy Kreme or Dunkin Donuts.
Ooh, I'm going to go Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer for
Is
me.
it?
Krispy Kreme. But did I ever tell you why I love donuts so much?
No, please.
Because they're calorie-free in the middle.
Oh boy.
And Brandon Bascelli, everybody.
Yeah, this will
Tip
be
your
his
waitress on the way
first
out.
and last time.
Oh.
It's
All right.
an interesting marketing strategy, though. I'll give it to them. They're bringing some publicity to themselves, and they've obviously made the news for changing their name.
Yeah,
So
but they don't have that hot and what is it?
Hot
now?
now.
Hot now sign.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen
Have
it.
you?
A few times.
I've seen it
Yeah.
a few times.
Okay.
So the last topic I want to just talk about briefly, which is in the news, you guys have all seen that we have kind of this talking about a trade war that's going on out there and tariffs. And the reason why I
Yeah.
bring this up is how does it affect house prices, construction prices
Yeah.
of new homes from home builders? And so what we're hearing and what we're seeing is the cost for the materials is going up. And so all of these home builders are having issues like wood costs and labor costs and steel costs that are all going up.
Okay.
And so the question you ask is, how does that affect us?
Well, yeah.
right?
Home prices.
Well, for many, many years, 4, 5, 6 years, home buyers out there and realtors have been able to negotiate deals with home builders on credits and closing costs and things of that nature.
Right,
A lot
right.
of times realtors get special, treatment, special deals.
Yes.
But what's happening more and more is because the bottom line is getting squeezed more from builders, we're seeing now
We're not getting those special credits and
we're
deals.
not getting
and
as much.
incentives.
That's right. The
Yeah.
builders are starting to watch that bottom line.
Interesting.
And so that's something that we talked about in an earlier episode is there a shift coming? Well, these are the sort of things that make it feel spongy.
Spongy.
I like that. That's-
Make it feel a little
Squishy was another one you used recently as
yes,
well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing to remember that I think to remember about new construction with the home builders that are out there is that home buyers don't know that they can have a realtor on their side for free, no cost to them,
Right.
who knows all of these things,
Exactly.
who has the experience of going in to all these different builders and kind of knowing what is flexible and what isn't.
Right.
But it is coming under pressure.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah, because building a home from start to finish, there's so many elements. And I learned recently, because as you all know, I'm pretty new to real estate, that there are all these different checkpoints throughout the new construction process. The first checkpoint, the walls or the electricity or whatever. And
keep going.
And there's
a few other things.
There's all these checkpoints along the way, and if you yourself have never built a home, you're going to walk in and say, well, it does appear that there's walls, so I believe I'm satisfied. But walking in with a professional who does this regularly, who knows what to ask for, who knows what incentives are available right now to you, I mean, not only can it save you money, it can save you huge headaches.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we have a realtor here today who's a specialist in helping home buyers.
We do?
Find it. Yeah, we do.
Who's that?
Robert Adams.
Robert
Put a hand up.
Adams.
Hey,
Hey, Robert Adams.
Robert,
the Adams Sales
working
Jack's
diligently.
team.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. He actually is a specialist in helping people through that process. They go to all of the checkpoints, and you're right. It's that peace of mind sort of thing from start to finish. Site agents work for the builder.
Yeah.
The builder obviously works for the builder, and it costs nothing to have someone on your side, so that you have that extra set of eyes, that third-party expert. If we need to bring in a home inspector, we bring in a home inspector, all these things. And I just think it's really important. If you're going to call somebody like Brandon, who's an expert on homeowners insurance,
Right.
well, you might as well call in an expert.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, can I touch on one more debate?
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
Did you know that there are 3 Brazilian steakhouses in a 2-mile radius at the St. John's Town
It
Center?
was poor planning.
Yeah.
So my question is there a difference between Texas de Brazil, Fogo de Chao,
Uh-huh.
and Terra Gaucha, or is it exactly the same? Have you been?
I've been to one of those.
Okay.
And it was very tasty. And so I think the only way we're going to be able to settle that if we go to all 3, and Howard, I'm sure, is going to treat us all, and we'll go
course.
test and we'll report
Challenge
back.
accepted.
I actually am going to Terra Gaucha today.
Oh, there you
You
go.
are.
For lunch with a
Perfect.
friend. We're going to
Okay.
lunch.
Excellent.
And so I'll report back.
Okay,
Nice.
great.
And let everyone know.
It was an interesting choice to put 3 of them.
Yeah.
To put 3 essentially endless meat buffets within a square mile of each other. But meat is gaining popularity. Well, with all the keto diets and everything. So apparently, when we go to dinner now, all we want to do is continue ordering meat.
Well, I don't think you can necessarily go wrong there. That being said, thank you for tuning in to the Independent Brokerage with Roundtable Realty. Thank you to Brandon for
Thank you,
being
Brandon.
here today.
Thank you for having
He's
me.
the
I'm
best.
super excited.
Yeah,
Super excited.
and Robert Adams of the Adams Sells Jacks team.
There he is.
All right, see you next time, you
See
guys.
you next time.